Good evening and a very warm welcome to Pocket live on the Irish Examiner. It's Premier Senior Hurling Championship for a Saturday night. It's St Finbarrs and Erin's own, and throw-in is at 7:30. A very good evening. Patrick Mulcahy here, bring you live commentary on this big Premier Senior Hurling Championship clash with a lot to take in and a lot to go as well this evening, because there was a result happened a little bit earlier on. We'll touch on that very shortly indeed. Mark Landers will be here to analyse the game for us, and we'll get Mark's thoughts on the game very shortly indeed. But firstly, let's have a listen and hear from both camps who we caught up just before we came on air. Shortly we will hear from Ronan Curran, and Finbarr's manager. But firstly, let's hear from Erin's own manager and secretary of the club, Martin Bowen. So, Martin Bowen, ahead of tonight's clash, how have things been not getting on during the week on Caherlag after that 2-point win against Blackrock?
Actually, they've been fine, really. I suppose with the fast turnaround, there's very little you could do. The main thing was to have no injuries, and look, the lads are in good form coming into tonight again, so we're happy.
No injuries to report during the week. Is all full bill of health?
All full bill of health, so we're happy enough.
I suppose going into the championship, everybody knows this was going to be the group of death, but you got off to such a great start last week with that 2-point victory. I suppose the grit and determination of Erin's own shone through.
Yeah, but that would be our form anyway. I mean, when you go to play a game of hurling, you have to do 100%, and you have to be determined, and you have to be focused, and the work rate has to be up, and that's what we expect every day we go out. And fair enough, we got the result last week, but that's history. So it is a whole new ball game.
You've got some great youth, a mix of youth and experience in the team, and you're bringing some youth through the subs bench as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose we're trying to develop some younger players because, I suppose over the past 10 or 15 years, we've been very poor at underage level, and there's a huge step up from the level the lads have been playing at the senior hurling. And I suppose our ambition every year, number one, is to retain our status, and number two, make progress in the championship, and number three, develop players to be well capable of playing senior hurling for the next 10 or 15 years. So at the moment, it's going well enough.
And I suppose to add on to that, then, when you get championship wins like what you got last week and facing big sides in Premier Senior Hurling, everybody wants to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, for us, I mean, we're playing, I suppose, one of the big three tonight. We played one of the big three last week, the Rockies and the Bars tonight, and we respect their tradition. They have fantastic clubs and with huge number of county titles under their belt, and anytime we go to play these fellas, it's an honour. But at the same time, we treat ourselves as equal. We believe we're every bit as good, if not better than anybody else, and that's the way we approach every game.
So looking forward to tonight. You were in Park Erin last week, up to Parky now tonight under the lights. Always to look forward to, especially on a great surface like it is here in the park.
I should look. I mean, I suppose that's what everybody dreams about, is playing Parky Cleeve. It is a fabulous surface, and there's no excuses. You just go out and you do the very best you can, and as I say, that's what we expect from our guys, and hopefully that'll be good enough.
So, Ronan Curran, leading into tonight's match, how have things been getting on down in Toker?
Yeah, not bad. I suppose we had a good old start last week. It was always going to be a tough game, and we prepared well for it. Got a good result, but all this is a start, like in these group stages. You need to back that up now with another good performance tonight.
You must be happy scoring the 4 goals, though, all the same.
Oh, yeah. Like it's always great to get a few goals. Like, to be fair, we got 3 of them in the first half, and that really stood to us. We do realise, tonight is probably a step up in opposition. You're playing the C2 in the group. So they've been in the semi-final last year, plenty of experience there, plenty of firepower. So we know what we're up against tonight, but we're looking forward to it, and the lads are looking forward to it.
Ben Cunningham, I suppose, one of the standout names, really, 18 years of age, getting 7 points last week, 4 from play. It's a great start for a championship debutant.
Yeah, it's great. I suppose he was our one new face this year, and he did very well for the 20s coming on in the few games he did. Obviously a good player, good pedigree, but he's still learning, he's coming on game by game, and each of these games is a step up for all those young fellas, they're still very young, especially up in the forward line, you'd be hoping with each game he'd build, and same with all the rest of the lads going forward, and we hope to show that tonight now as well.
Obviously tonight's going to be a big game, both sides top of the table. Whoever loses isn't exactly out of the competition because it goes to third round in a couple of weeks' time, but how important is it to get 2 wins on the board inside 7 days?
Oh yeah, well, you want a good start, and you want to win every game. Winning is a habit, so that's what I've said to the lads, we come out here now and we're ready for a battle, we know it's going to be obviously a hard third round game against Blackrock coming up as well, so we're going to put everything into this, and see where we stand afterwards.
looking forward to the game. Great to be back in here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh under the lights here as well.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I suppose we didn't have a great time the last time we were here, so we're looking to put that right now again.
So, Martin, and thanks very much to both Ronan Curran and Martin Bowen who joined us before we came on air, and my thanks indeed for our analysts for joining us this evening as well, and a very warm welcome to Mark Landers. And Mark, it's been an enjoyable weekend so far to date, but undoubtedly this is probably the game of the weekend live once again on the Irish Examiner.
Yeah, thanks Patrick. I suppose as the man says, it's great to be here. That's the most important thing. There's a decent crowd after coming into the stadium already. We're a couple of minutes away from the start, but it's a very interesting game because we had, I suppose, 5 victories in the Premier Senior in the first round. You had SARS, Douglas, Middleton, Erins and the Bars. And Erins and the Bars are the only 2 teams, I suppose, that are facing off, having won their first round. So this is what makes this game, I suppose, the most interesting one that, I suppose, Charleville will be looking in as well tonight, because if Erins win this game this evening, I think Charleville are knocked out of the championship automatically because of that situation. So I suppose there's a lot at stake, Patrick, and I suppose for both teams involved tonight, it's about getting an extra 2 points on that table, and then be back in a couple of weeks' time to get in for the third round and see who's going to be topping the table, who's going to finish second. So a lot of interesting things can happen yet, but a great weekend of hurling in Cork.
And this game actually does have a big bearing on Group C, and we will touch on that very shortly indeed. We will go through the team shortly, but there is some breaking news here in Cork GA circles this evening. Cork GA Chiefs have officially begun the search for a new football manager. The board are now seeking applications for the role, with prospective candidates invited to apply before September 24th. That news breaking here in the last hour, and you can read more of that on the irishexaminer.com/sport. Okay, let's have a look through the teams then ahead of tonight's fixture. We'll start out with Erin's own, who go unchanged from their 2-point victory against Blackrock last weekend. James O'Flynn and James O'Carroll were essential to their side's victory last week, starting the half-back line, while up front Owen Murphy contributing 1-9 and Robbie O'Flynn scoring 6 points helped Erin's own to that 2-point victory over the reigning county champions. As for St Finbarrs, they had a massive 422 to 250 win over Charleville last weekend. Damien Cahalan scoring 1-1 from centre back. Championship debutant Ben Cunningham scoring 7 points from centre forward, while in the inside forward line Jack Cahalan contributed 3 points, Brian Hayes scoring 1-1 and Owen Finn getting 3 points to his name as well. It's going to be a big night for the Erin's own defence to hold out those 3 in the full forward line.
Yeah, Patrick, I think as you rightly said there, I mean, the Bars are coming into the game having put up a massive score, 422 against Charleville in the first round. So I suppose, they're bringing in a lot of youth, but they have a lot of experience as well, particularly the half-back line of Glenn O'Connor, Damien Cahalan and Owen Keane. And added into that then you have Jamie Burns at full-back. They're 4 massive physically big players for the Bars. But there's a lovely sprinkling of youth, I suppose, and speed and electric skill up front as well, and the likes of Eaton, Toomey, Ben Cunningham, Conor Cahalan and Jack Cahalan, and obviously a little bit of experience there with Owen Finn. And then we have the dual player Brian Hayes playing at full forward. So I suppose the Bars, I think, Patrick, will start as slight favourites this evening based on probably the number of inter-county players on view there. But then, we know Erin's own of old, and going into the first round, they would have been, I suppose, outsiders against Blackrock, who were the county champions, and that didn't frighten Erin's own one bit, and they were full value for the victory against Blackrock. And that victory was laid, I think, in particular their goalkeeper Shea Bone in the night. Keane O'Connor, Cormac Dooley and Alan Moynihan were outstanding in the full back line. And they're really, the 2 lads, I suppose, in particular, Cormac Dooley and Keane O'Connor, have been stalwarts for Erin's own in that back line for over a decade. Obviously, you have the experience of Stephen Cronin in the half-back line, and James Flynn, a player that I have a lot of mass on as well. This is a big game for James this evening. He'll probably be facing off against Ben Cunningham or Conor Cahalan, I would expect. But up front, the star on the night against Blackrock was undoubtedly Robbie O'Flynn. He got 6 points from play. He left the All-Ireland, I suppose, the disappointment of the All-Ireland behind him, and he showed why he's involved with the Cork seniors, because he was absolutely brilliant on the night. And I suppose Owen Murphy would have to give him serious mention. He scored every free that came his way, and he got the critical goal in the first half that gave, I think, Erin's only a huge shot in the arm and a huge confidence booster as well.
as we see Finbarrs just after coming out. We did have rain a little bit earlier on, started around 5 o'clock, lasted around an hour or an hour and a quarter, then eased off, and just as we came up to the commentary position around 7 o'clock, there was a dirty mist fell, so the Bars went in to put on their jerseys with less than 5 minutes to go, as the referee is meeting both captains in the centre of the field, Owen Murphy of the Bars and James O'Flynn, as well of Erin's own. It is Brian Connery of Crosshaven who is our referee, just laying out the law for the early stages as we wait for the toss to happen, Mark. And look, I don't think there's any breeze to talk about tonight. It looks like the skies have cleared over Lee side, so we're heading in for a big game on a greasy surface, and 2 match points on offer for the winner this evening.
That's the big thing, Patrick, really, is the 2 points that are on offer here tonight. I see the referee is actually looking for a coin to toss it at the moment, and the lads are putting their hands in the pockets looking for the lucky 5p piece or whatever.
He must have been late to the shop.
Yeah.
Canis Walsh offering the chewing gum to toss as well. I don't think that's going to work. And I'd say it's going to be a lucky dip of the hand. We'll see the hand. We know what hand it is. It's in the left hand. We can tell you it's in the left. It's blank. It's been in the right. So the Bars have won the choice of hand, the blank hand. I don't know what they call it in poker. The magic hand, is that what they call it?
I don't know, but it's somebody's after getting a royal flush there. But just speaking about the conditions, yes, I think it's going to be slightly greasy, and I'd have to say the field is absolutely magnificent yet again. And the job that the county board and the grounds people have done with it has been, it was much maligned a couple of years ago when we built a new stadium, but the field is absolutely magnificent. And just speaking about the breeze, there isn't any breeze here. I'm looking at the tricolour on the Blackrock side of the field, and it's totally limp. So there's going to be no advantage or disadvantage to any team, I think, whichever way they're playing this evening, Patrick. It'll be a level game. There won't be any two-sided, because of the breeze and stuff like that. So, we'll know after 10 or 15 minutes the tempo of the game and how things are going as to who will be looking, I suppose, as the better team.
Now, we mentioned earlier on, Mark, about results, and one game that has had a major effect on this game. Douglas' 8-point win the result earlier on was
Blackrock and Charleville.
Blackrock and Charleville, yes. Blackrock's win over Charleville, 219 to 18 points earlier this evening. So that now means if Erin's own win here tonight, Charleville are out of Group C and out of the Premier Senior Hurling for 2021.
Yes, that is my understanding of it, Patrick. The way the tables will fall down, and with the matches that are to come, if Erin's own win this evening, there's no conceivable way that Charleville can get through to the next round. But what Charleville will be watching out for, obviously, it's only the top 2 teams in each group have a possibility of continuing the championship. Whoever finishes in the 3rd position won't be up for relegation and won't obviously get through into the last round of the championship. But the last teams in each group, then, depending on scoring averages, they will be up for relegation. So there still is a lot to play for in the overall context, and scoring differences is massive at the moment. And at the moment, I think Middleton are in a good position with scoring differences, but SARS, had a massive win in the first round, and they're playing, I suppose, Carricktool, who had a bad beating by Middleton in the first round. So SARS will be expecting to be leading, I would say, after the end of this weekend.
The big match coming up right after Aran Avain. Saturday night live on the Irish Examiner live streaming service. Erin's own versus the Bars. Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship, sponsored and brought to you by the Co-op Superstores. Mark, time for predictions.
Yeah, I think, Patrick, having seen Erin's own in the first round, they were very, very competent. They took on the county champions and beat them fair and square. That was above in Parky Ring. I think the Bars, looking at them, I didn't see them, but they put up a massive score of 422 in the first round. They have a huge sprinkling of inter-county players, and I have a slight fancy for the Bars this evening, Patrick, but, you know, let's leave the predictions to, I suppose, somebody else. We'll get on with the commentary, and all I'm looking for today is to see a decent game of hurling. I'm looking for the standard to be top quality, and I'm just hoping, I suppose, that with all these matches, and that the club player is taken care of in terms of getting more matches and more meaningful matches for their careers to develop.
Okay, let's have a look and see. It's the Bars who will play from right to left into the city end in this opening half, and we see Ben Cunningham moving to wing forward, who's going to be closely marshalled by James O'Carroll. Ethan Toomey standing in the centre of the field behind the referee. The referee is blindsided completely. Ethan Toomey maybe not picking up a position, but it looks like he's going to be playing as a third man midfielder. Bars going to play 2 men inside the full forward lines. We look around for the final checks, and Brian Connery is going to be happy to get this game under away. Like us all, we're away in this Group C encounter, round 2 clash of the Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship, and it is Erin's own with the opening possession of the game. That ball sent in by Kieran Murphy into the full forward line, picked up by Damien Cahalan, who's marking Morris O'Carroll inside in the full forward line. A chance for the Bars to set up the opening tack of the evening over that far side. Heavy collision there, but Ethan Toomey got away to tackle, didn't get away on the second one, and that's allowed Erin's own to try and get away. Massive shoulder there on Sam Guilfoyle. He's felt the effects on that one. Picked up by Cullum Coakley. Long ball in towards the full forward line. Small nudge in the back there by Brian Ramsey, but squirted through to the Cork All-Ireland Intermediate winning keeper Shane Hurley. And Hurley's cleared these lines, and it's now with Glenn O'Connor from the wing back position from the right half of the field in front of the north stand. Great ball picked out to Jack Cahalan, the dual star, along with Brian Hayes. Dink ball inside. There's a goal opportunity here, just couldn't get a grip of it there. Could the older brother of Jack, that was Conor Cahalan, but Jack is broken back onto the ball, breaking in out towards this fellow dual star Brian Hayes, looking for an early goal, but half blocked down, and it's gone out for a 65. In fact, the umpire is saying it is going out for a wide ball.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise, Patrick. I thought it was a 65. Initially, Jack Cahalan had a good opportunity. It fell back to Connor, who failed to pick it on, but got it back to Jack, who went through and passed it off to Brian Hayes. A good opportunity gone by for the Bars.
Puck out from Shea Bowen, going a long way inside the Bars 45-metre line. Picked up over there by Robbie O'Flynn, showing a real good burst of speed. There's Hurley's coming in from all over the shop. There's a push in the back as well. Great work right there. Great start from Robbie O'Flynn.
Yes, and Robbie's taking off for where he stopped against the Black Rock the last weekend. Great pace. It seems as though he's lining up out the field. Damien Cahalan is lining up inside in the full back line, which I would have expected that both of them would have ended up marking each other.
You see the Erin's own mentors down beneath us. Martin Bowen, of course, manager and secretary of the Erin's own club. Great stalwart as well to the Caherlag Bayside, as Owen Murphy takes this one, sending this in and over the bar for the opening score of the game. So puck out from Shane Hurley over towards that far side, but he picks out an Erin's own player. Switching the play, James O'Carroll down towards this near sideline. And a chance for Erin's own. In fact, that ball squirting off the hand of Morris O'Carroll. Mossy, as he's affectionately known, out for a Bar sideline ball.
Yeah, but I would be very surprised, Patrick, if Mossy O'Carroll was staying in the full forward and Robbie O'Flynn will stay in midfield. I think that's a bit of trying to have a red herring at the early stages of this game, because I think Erin's own probably would have been expecting that that Robbie O'Flynn will be getting close attention this evening. So they've elected to play him in the middle of the field. Don't see why you'd be playing your best forward out in the middle of the field.
Short sideline ball back from Ethan Toomey back to Shane Hurley, and Toomey playing deep inside his half back line, inside to Damien Cahalan. Always got a great engine, has the dual football and hurling start, looking to try and switch the play, but there was half a hook inside there, and that's allowed. Well, Robbie or Cathal Lennon seemed to be pulled to the floor, but play continues on. And Ben Cunningham in possession, turning his marker inside, going for a shot and goal. Cunningham, and half stopped on the line, but it's trickled into the back of the net. It was half stopped by Cormac Dooley, but it's gone in, and it's an early goal for the Bars.
Well, they're after getting a serious stroke of luck, the Bars, here this evening, because there was a clear foul on Cathal Lennon in the middle of the field, where he was pulled back and he was failed to get on the ball. But the score counts at this moment in time. Ben Cunningham sidestepped his man and struck it into the net, and it fell over the line.
Puck out from Shea Bowen. That might be a vision we have to look back at half time as there's a hurley in there from Conor Dennehy. He's got away with a breaking ball. Ball's popped out from Billy Hennessy over towards the far side to Conor Cahalan. Cahalan going for a shot, but going for a second wide for the Barrs this evening. Crucial stroke of luck there for the Barrs in the opening 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, big stroke of luck, Patrick, but look, that's what wins matches, and you take your opportunity, you play to the whistle. The opportunity fell to Ben Cunningham and he get a great sidestep. Shea Bowen did get a hurley on it, and quite unlucky that I think it may have been knocked over the line by an Erin's own player.
Barrs have put down the ball. In fact, it looks like there's an Erin's own. Could be an Erin's own change over there. Looks like Ronan Toomey might be in. We might have to get that clarified in a moment as the Barrs looking to try and take on another attack. Owen Finn with a long ball going all the way in, and that's the Barrs opening white flag of the game in the opening 5 minutes.
Yeah, very, very good score there from Owen Finn. Great play out the field for the players to recycle the ball, and Owen struck it over from about 50 yards. Great strike off his right hand side.
So 2 men inside the full forward line for Erin's own, 2 men inside the full forward line for the Barrs. So it's quite similar setup. It's going to be a lot of work inside the centre of the field for whoever's going to win this game, as the puck out from Bowen going a long way inside the Barrs half back line. But again, the Barrs dealing with comfort, and Owen Keane, well, while he's under pressure, Ethan Toomey with an audacious flick off the left foot and pops the ball outside to Damien Cahalan. But a big heavy hit there on Cahalan is dispossessed of a possession. Chance of a goal by Mossy O'Carroll. Flicked away out, saved by Shane Hurley, knocked out for a 65 there by Jamie Burns.
Yeah, fantastic save from Hurley, absolutely crucial save so early in the game. I think it was Mossy O'Carroll the opportunity, but we saw a massive bit of skill from Ethan Toomey, as you said, to flick the ball up with his left foot, absolutely massive skill, and it, culminating, we saw, I think, Brian Hayes earlier on in the season with the Cork under 20s doing something similar as well. But the early exchanges, Patrick, are lively, and, whereby Erin's own are playing well, it looks as though the Barrs have a line share of the possession at this moment in time.
Sure does indeed. I'm just trying to, it looks like it is Ronan Toomey wearing number 18, so I'm just trying to see who is the odd man now, who hopefully might pick it up in a moment. Owen Murphy, though, sending this one in. It's dragged left and wide, and there are the opportunities that Erin's own need to be taken this evening as Shane Hurley pucks out the latest possession. A long run over towards that far side made there by Brian Hayes, but a super catch by the Erin's own half back line, including Stephen Cremin, who's inside there. Pucked in there by James O'Carroll towards the half forward line, but again the Barrs working very hard. Heavy hit there on Ethan Toomey. Legitimate, says a Crosshaven official, as Erin's own have won the breaking ball. Colm Coakley, who got a point last week against the Rockies. But the Barrs have turned it back over once again. Owen Keane with a short ball up towards Conor Cahalan, who switches the play over towards that far side of the field, over towards Glenn O'Connor, a brother of Jim O'Connor, who played with the Cork Camogie team for many years. But that's Glenn's first action of the game, and it's a wide ball.
Yeah, and just for the people that are watching in from at home, Alan Moynihan, who's picked the corner back, who's actually playing out in the middle of the field, and he's picking up Ethan Toomey. And he's quite right, they said, Patrick, the Barrs are playing with a 2-man inside line.
Heavy clash of Hurley there as a broken Hurley over on that far side of the field from an Erin's own point of view. But here's the Barrs captain, Owen Murphy, sending that ball long inside towards Jack Cahalan, who looked to try and steady himself. Lost his legs for a moment. He's got a second bite of the cherry. Under pressure underneath here in the south stand. Got the ball away. Possession now with Billy Hennessy. Hennessy, where he's been taken hold of it. Advantage coming here if this goes nowhere. But Conor Cahalan says, no, I'll take it by the scruff of the neck. That goes all the way in between the uprights. Yeah, and a very good score from Conor Cahalan off his left-hand side. It looks as though as the referee is going to give a yellow card potentially to Stephen Cronin, or actually I think to James O'Carroll for colliding into the Barrs player. In fact, it is Stephen Cremin. It looked like James O'Carroll for a second, but he is actually calling him back.
Stephen Cronin, yeah.
Stephen Cremin, yeah. Cronin even. And he's going to be brandished a yellow card for that heavy challenge.
Hit on Billy Hennessy, yeah.
The referee's not finished with the bookwork. Shea Bowen apologising to her referee. Quite clearly not ready. I'm just wondering, is Owen Murphy on the field, Mark? Because that's the one I'm looking for insider. Or not Owen, Kieran Murphy, I should say.
He's there, yeah. He's there at the D, number 10, number 18, actually, is it?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's gone off. That looks like he's...
Yeah, so that's just the one dubious thing we're not sure. We might get that clarified downstairs shortly. As possession, well, there's a flick on there from a Barr's hand, which has ended up in the possession of Brian Ramsey. Ramsey steady himself, but not on target. Accuracy not of the fortuitous nature. And Shane Hurley picks up possession, sending it long to Owen Finn, all the way deep inside the 65-metre line. Long ball in towards the two-man full forward line. You can see the 220 stars, Cahalan and Hayes, trying to create havoc. Obviously, footing is going to be an issue this evening as Cahalan tries to break away from from Cian O'Connor. That shot going in, but it's going left-hand side and wide.
Yeah, and it's great pressure there by Cian O'Connor on Jack Cahalan. But the Barrs are playing really intelligent hurling, leaving it in front of their inside two men inside line.
As two Erin's own men got in each other's way, but doing very well there as Mossy O'Carroll. Ball popped outside to Sam Guilfoyle, who got a goal last week against Blackrock. Great accuracy, great touch, good man to hold on to possession. Pops the ball outside to the Bear. Owen Murphy drops the ball, first time shot. Shane Hurley done well to stop it underneath his feet. And that gave an opportunity for Ethan Toomey to try and clear the lines, and finding the Barrs men in an acre space as Damon Cahalan's moved to midfield. Long ball, switch, looking for Brian Hayes. The big stature of Hayes, but just couldn't get a grasp of it. And that allowed the opportunity for Cormac Dooley to try and gain a possession once again this evening. Here is James O'Carroll as that ball is sent up long in towards the half-forward line of the Erins own Sam Guilfoyle under pressure. Obviously the intensity of this game, and there's huge physicality as well, as Ethan Toomey pops that ball out towards Conor Dennehy. Here's Billy Hennessy now switching that play once again over towards that far side. You can see how much all the space inside the two-man full forward line as Brian Hayes is gone inside in his bike, scoops the ball over the top towards Jack Cahalan. Just couldn't get a hand to it, and the greasy conditions are having an effect on the opening 10 minutes of this Group C clash in the Premier Senior Hurling Championship. What a ball picked out there to pop the ball over top from Conor Cahalan. Ben Cunningham with a shot across the face of goal. Oh my God, could have been to the back of the net, could have been anywhere. But it goes right and wide.
Yeah, but it looked like the corner back. O'Connor had saved it, but he must have struck it wide because the referee is giving a puck out now. But it's massive again. Erin's zone, the Cormac Dooley and Cian O'Connor are living on their nerves at the moment with the two men inside line. Can't understand why Erin's zone haven't got a sweeper back in front of him.
Erin's zone looking to try and get a score of their own rather quickly. Cahalan passes outside to James O'Carroll, shortens the stick, but going left and wide. So Barrs 4 wides, Erin's zone 2. There's a quick puck out over towards that far side of the field. And Ethan Toomey now in possession inside his own 45-metre line. Just dinks the ball over the top. Owen Murphy got in out of the way. Oh, Genie, that was a loose hurley there on James O'Carroll, I should say. Ball popped back outside to the Bear. But Owen Murphy sending this, dragging it left and wide again.
Yeah, and I think, Patrick, you mentioned about Ronan Toomey starting for Erins. I think what has actually happened is that Owen Murphy is actually wearing the number 18 jersey. And he's named as number 9 in the programme.
Number 10 on the programme, yeah. So there is actually 2 number 9s here. So on the sheets we have here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, but he was due to wear at number 10 as that ball is walked inside from Conor Cahalan, evading the tackle, but there was an accidental trip on Cian Walsh there by Robbie O'Flynn, and that's an easy free to give for Brian Connery.
Yeah. Now, overall, it's quite obvious that Erin's own, that the Barrs are playing a 2-man inside line of Brian Hayes and Jack Cahalan. They're getting plenty possession. They probably haven't transferred it or converted it into scoring at this moment in time, but they look extremely dangerous. But they're coming up against 2 tough men in Cormac Dooley and Cian O'Connor, and the boys aren't giving a whole pile away, but there's an awful lot of ball going into the Barrs full forward line, which would suggest that out the field, particularly Ethan Toomey, is on a notion of ball at this moment in time, and he's having a huge influence in the game.
Stephen Cronin just getting some medical attention over there with the attendance of the physio from Erin's own. Dr. Paddy Barry is here as well this evening, of course, man linked with the minors and under 20 squads over the past couple of seasons. Great doctor indeed, Dr. Barry. As Cronin's happy enough to continue on. And first time we'll see Ben Cunningham this evening from place ball. He scored 3 points in place ball last Saturday against Charleville. First time we'll see him here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. His second game for the Barrs, splitting the uprights, and the Barrs extending the lead out to 5 points.
Yeah, and I mean the score is 1-3 to 1 point, and that probably emphasises the amount of possession that the Barrs are on. And overall they're looking comfortable at the moment, Patrick.
Puck out from Bowen, squirting through, and again, just remember those greasy conditions. We've had plenty of rain before this game started this evening, as that ball is cleared out by the Bars defence by Ethan Toomey, but Cian O'Connor's dealt with it very well, sending it back down the line. Owen Murphy inside, a heavy hit on, in fact it was Sam Guilfoyle, big frame stature of Guilfoyle, shortened the grip to Robbie O'Flynn. There was a half a hook inside, I was going to work out okay. Owen Murphy tried a one-handed swing there, but just didn't work out for the Erin's own full forward, and that's given an opportunity for the Bars. And here is Damien Cahalan looking to try and spray the ball over towards Shane Hurley in front of the north stand, outside the 20-metre line. Low rasping ball in towards the centre of the park, in towards Owen Finn. Finn pops the ball outside to Ethan Toomey. There's space inside. Great tackle inside here by James O'Carroll, but break inside Owen Finn to pick up the crumbs. There was a 3-on-2. Conor Cahalan was gone in for a goal on the far side, but Finn took the score.
He probably took the opportunity as it presented him, Patrick, and there's 2 points for him. But overall, it was good build-up play from the Bars, from particularly from Ethan Toomey, who had broke through Conor Cahalan, in fairness, had made the overlap and given him the opportunity that if he wanted to pop him, but Owen felt, look, keep the scoreboard ticking over. And there's bad news here, I think it's Stephen Cronin, and I think that could have been a result of the incident earlier on where he received a yellow card, that he might have popped his shoulder. He certainly was holding his shoulder and his ribs, and it was a late challenge, and he's probably come off the worst of it.
So there is going to be a substitution. Barry Og Murphy is in place of Stephen Cronin, and it's an early enforced substitution for Erin's own, who have only statured 1 point in this game so far. That was from a free from Og Murphy in the 3rd minute, as Ethan Toomey wins another breaking ball off an Erin's own puck out. Owen Keane, long ball inside, looking for Ben Cunningham. What a tackle inside there by the young 18-year-old Cunningham, trying to send this one in, but just curling to the left-hand side and wide.
Yeah, he started very lively, and all the Bars forwards are very, very lively. He possibly would have been better off to funnel that ball and keep it back in play and try and manoeuvre and find a loose man.
Sam Guilfoyle working the ball inside, looking for Robbie O'Flynn. Guilfoyle wins back the breaking ball off the bat off Damien Cahalan, working it over towards that far side. Another great block down by Cahalan, doing supreme work over in the centre back position. He was in midfield for a moment as Erin's own looking to try and get a score of their own. Looks like this is Ciaran Murphy. It is. It looks like him indeed, wearing number 18 instead of 10 as officially on the programme. Pops the ball outside to Brian Ramsey, and Ramsey converts that score, and that's the second score for Erin's own as they come to the water break.
Yeah, and there's a score that's badly needed by Erin's own, because I think there's over 15 minutes gone at this stage, and they're crying out for a score, and they've got a great score by Ramsey.
Puck out down towards his near sideline, one inside by Conor Cahalan. He's gone on his bike, he's trying to burn the afterburners away from James O'Flynn. He's got away and evaded the tackle of Flynn with the Cahalan with the shot, I should say, and Cahalan with the score.
Yes, and he showed a very, very good turn of pace there, Patrick. Beat James O'Flynn on the sprint, and I think his 3 points in play scored. He's a big influence in the game.
Puck out straight down the centre, and Erin's own need another score again now to try and reply to that before the water break, as Owen Murphy it is, getting his legs in a tangle there, as heavy clash of Hurley's inside as Billy Hennessy clears his lines out towards Shane Hurley. Big puck of the ball as the All-Ireland intermediate winner from a few seasons ago with Cork, but winning the foot race over on that far side there. Cian O'Connor, real stalwart of the Erin's own club, under pressure here from Jack Cahalan, and Cahalan's come out the better side of it, flick away there by James O'Flynn. As Jack Cahalan just assesses the options, he's got plenty of them, tries to play it across the de-exclusion zone. But the first man there was Alan Moynihan, the Erin's own cornerback, and that's allowed an opportunity for the Erin's own. Well, it did for a second before Jamie Burns intercepted that one. Picked up there by Owen Keane in towards the centre of the park. Ethan Toomey pops the ball back over towards that far side, and the Bars working through the channels into Conor Dennehy now, was going to be half hooked for a second, and thought about second bite of the cherry, and Dennehy getting his opening score of the game as the water break is taken. And at the water break it is the Bars 1-6, Erin's own 2 points.
Yes, and that's a good lead for the Bars, Patrick. 1-6, and I think they have probably about 1-5 scored from play, which shows probably their superiority at this moment in time. But the Barrs are well on top. But I have to make a comment on the goalkeeper for the Barrs. He has been outstanding. He's had 2 opportunities. He's saved certainly 2 goal opportunities. One from Matthew Carroll out of his hand, and the other one from Owen Murphy, who struck it on the ground. It was a great save. But his general distribution of the game has been excellent as well. So he's a real plus for the Barrs inside in the back line. I think he's given an awful lot of confidence in his full back line as well. Out the field, very much on top. Owen Keane is very much on top at centre back, but the amount of ball that Ethan Toomey in particular is picking up, he's a huge link man between the half back line and the forwards. And then up front, I think Conor Cahalane is making himself available at all stages. He's 3 points scored from play. Owen Finn has 2 points scored from play, which is very good. I suppose, Ben Cunningham has been very good. Jack Cahalane, I think, has got on an awful lot of ball, but probably has slipped on a number of occasions. So maybe just getting the ball in, getting possession of the ball first, holding his feet, standing up, and then I suppose taking on the man at that stage. But as I mentioned before the game, he's marking Cian O'Connor, who's a really tight and tough and tigerish cornerback. But at this moment in time, the Barrs, they've continued the performance from the last day. I think Erin's Own will be slightly disappointed, Patrick. They probably needed one of the goals. But, we know Erin's Own for years. They'll stay at it. But at this moment in time, the Barrs are well on top.
And I suppose the one thing, Mark, with Brian Hayes and Jack Cahalane inside the two-man full forward line, Erin's Own will leave him having that space, and they're taking the defenders on. Yeah, but
Erin's Own have made a decision to go 15 on 15, which is fair. That's their game plan. But Moynihan has found himself, probably had started the corner back and played very well against Blackrock the last day. Probably found himself chasing Ethan Toomey for a good bit of that first quarter. He's gone back into the half back line now. And I think Barry Oak Murphy, potentially the lad that came on, has ended up picking up Ethan Toomey.
So play resumes after that last score from Conor Dennehy, with the puck out from Shea Bowen, who sends it down towards us near stand side of the field. There's a real tussle for possession off that puck out, and jumbled up in a tangle there was Conor Dennehy under pressure, and that's allowed Cian Murphy to get a swipe at a hurley. Sam Guilfoyle trying to break away from a tackle. There is going to be an option outside. If he goes for it, Guilfoyle, he's overcarried the ball. He had an opportunity, a prior opportunity to get possession away outside him, and it was a goal opportunity on.
There was a goal opportunity, and he did have a clear run at one stage, but he definitely did overcarry it. I think it's a good decision by Brian Connery.
There's the free taken by Hurley over towards that far side. Just going to stop in the wet grass here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Really lush as well. I had a walk on it before the game started. Low ball into Jack Cahalane, 40 yards off from goal. Cahalane trying to turn this in, but that is the Barrs' 6th wide of the game.
Yeah, 6 wides versus 3 wides, and at least Jack in that situation has won the ball and took on the opportunity, but possibly just he'll be fine as the game goes on.
Possession broke down again over that far side, and once again it's the Barrs who won another. Erin's Own puck out as Billy Hennessy's been turned over. An opportunity of a shot going in here from the substitute Barry Oak Murphy, but this one also going left and wide. Quick puck out taken by Shane Hurley down towards the near sideline, down towards Conor Cahalane. Pops the ball outside to Glenn O'Connor, turned away on a pirouette. Switch the play, looking for Brian Hayes over on that far side. Hayes looking to just try and get a flick in, but James O'Carroll is inside there in the full back line to try and help out. When saying that, Glenn O'Connor with a Superman catch inside the half back line. Switch the play from Billy Hennessy over towards that far side of the field, but the ball is going to beat the man Owen Finn, just not getting enough pace.
Bit unlucky, just a bit too much pace on that ball, and has ran out, has squirted out over the line when it hit the ground. But Glenn O'Connor has won a couple of great balls there. Bit unlucky as well. The ball broke inside. Brian Hayes tried to flick it down inside, but James O'Carroll had read the situation and cleared it back out to Glenn O'Connor. But both teams are now going with 2 on the inside line as well. And Damien Cahalane is back there on that full back line.
James O'Carroll with the sideline ball. The Barrs again winning another breaking ball. Cian Walsh popping up ball. Heavy shoulder there by Owen Murphy on James O'Carroll. Got away from the man. Popped the ball in. A massive score. Monstrous score inside there by
Owen Finn, I think. Yeah. So he's 3 points to his name as well, Patrick. Now, the Barrs are up and running, Patrick. They have 1-7 scored in the first 20 minutes, 1-6 on play.
And obviously Brian Connery has obviously said something. This obviously is Cian Murphy, we think, wearing number 18 compared to the programme notes number 10. And he's been spoken to here by our official, with no card going to be given here by the Crosshaven man. So 172 points. We're inside the final 9 minutes of this opening half of this Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship Group C clash. Puck out from Bowen down towards the half-hour line. Again, Conor Dennehy on the crumbs of the breaking ball. Bit of a falcon there, and that's knocked off the Barrs man. And, well, the referee, the sideline official says, my mistake, it is an Erin's own ball. It was off a Barrs helmet. That was undoubtedly, we can see that in the picture as well, off the helmet of Ben Cunningham. So it's a chance for Erin's own's Morris O'Carroll to set up a sideline ball. That ball was actually walked short. Back outside to Barry Oak Murphy. Under pressure inside there. Cathal Lenihan breaks the ball inside. Heavy hit there on Colm Coakley, and Ethan Toomey coming away with the breaking ball. Back inside to Glenn O'Connor. Ethan Toomey now under pressure is trying to pick the breaking ball. There was a heavy hit in the back of Ethan Toomey. And Cathal Lenihan, or Colm Coakley it is, who's going to be spoken to here by our Crosshaven official.
Yeah, it was a correct call with the referee. He got down over the ball and was shouldered in the legs more than anything, I'd say, and it was a correct decision by the referee to award the Bears.
I think it's more in the back was the foul.
Yeah.
There's some attention here on, it looks like Cathal Lenihan, who actually did pick up a heavy hit during a phase of play, and Dr. Paddy Barry is out there. Ronan Curran has made a big difference this year, Mark, since returning to the Bears.
Yeah,
Stamps written all over the team.
You know, he had done an awful lot of good work 2 years prior to last year, and it was a big surprise to anybody looking in from the outside that Ronan Curran wasn't involved with the Bears at the start of last year. But you know, sometimes these decisions, you know, they work for you, work against you. But you know, after a couple of poor outings and stuff like that, the management changed mid-season, which is never a good sign and never good for morale. But the Bears have, under Ronan's stewardship, have hit the ground running in the championship this year, and you know, both their hurling and their football teams are going extremely well. So they have a massive amount of players, massive tradition in the club as well. And they would have been one of my favourite clubs when I was growing up as a kid. The Bears, we would have always admired them and looked up to them. And you know, it has been a long time since they've won an All Ireland. Won a hurling, I suppose, title in this county. But they're setting out their stall, Patrick, this year early, and you know, I suppose I don't know how many of them are playing dual, you know, in terms of football, but certainly they're playing a lovely brand of hurling. They're really fit, and their use of the ball is excellent, and their skill level is very high, and their communication skills are very high as well.
None of the starting 15 were involved with the Bears, of course, except for the three Cahillans, of course, who were involved with the Haven, as Ben Cunningham takes us free from his own 45, landing in towards the edge of the squares. The Erin's own defence just trying to bat it out of the way. But how did he pick up that ball? One questions. Ball's walked in. Shot going in on Shea Bowen by Cian Walsh. It's not cleared away though. Late tackle in there on Conor Cahalane. There's a scramble for possession inside the parallelogram. And now Erin's own are going to try and clear their lines through the centre back James O'Flynn, captaining the side this evening, and cleared out from the fence by Barry Oak Murphy as they turn the fence into attack. But Damien Cahalane meets it very well over on that far side of the field, but still with an opportunity. Played in there by Robbie O'Flynn, not the greatest of balls, but it's going to work out okay for Erin's own. They're in there with a chance of a score. It is Brian Ramsey, but Brian Ramsey sending it left and wide as we come to the final 5 minutes of the opening 30.
Yeah, so the ball switched from one side of the field to the other. It was a great opportunity for the Bears and a great save by Shea Bowen, and Conor Cahalane probably will be disappointed that he didn't finish the goal chance off his left.
Brian Hayes making a 30-yard run to win the possession of the puck out, and Brian Hayes converting that score. And I think this is proving your point, Mark, that full forward line finding an acre of space inside there.
Yeah, and again, like, you know, Brian Ramsey probably would be disappointed that he didn't convert the opportunity for Erin's own. Ball came out straight from a puck out. Brian Hayes off his left-hand side, fantastic score.
Hayes' first scoring contribution of the evening as Erin's own, small but sloppy in the possession stakes over on that far side, but Cahalana's done very well. But as I say that, Billy Hennessy is in there on the tackle, plays a short back outside to his midfielder, Cian Walsh. Walsh trying a heavy tackle there. That ball's gone out over the sideline, off in Erin's own hurley though. Sideline ball for the Bears. Inside their own 45-metre line, this is going to be taken. So Brian Hayes contributing that score. Owen Finn with 3 points. Ben Cunningham now with 1-1 after scoring that goal in the 4th minute of the opening half. 1-8 to 2 points. It is Conor Cahalane also with a point, and Conor Dennehy from midfield with a point, his first point of the championship 2021. As there's another player down here, and it is Owen Murphy, the Bars captain now, who's receiving some attention. And in fact, you see,
looks like he's coming off, Patrick.
Yeah, signal there from the referee that substitution is going to be required, whether it's blood or otherwise. I'd say it might be blood, in fact, Mark.
Yeah, unsure. Paddy's holding his shoulder, which I think might be a bit more serious than just blood, I'd say, to be honest. But it looks like he's...
I think the referee's taking a note of a temporary substitution anyway. To me, looks like he's going to get checked out anyway. Dr. Paul O'Keefe, the football manager, is here in attendance, so I'm sure he's going to get a look into him. John Neville has come into the fray as that sideline has been taken, and Erin's Owen with possession over towards that far side of the field. A big tussle over there between Jamie Burns and Owen Murphy. Burns still under pressure. Has he overcarried the ball? Well, he has. He's been pinned. There was a prior opportunity to get it back to Shane Hurley, and it's a chance now for Owen Murphy to try and get a third point for Erin's Owen with 3 minutes left in the clock.
Yeah, probably Jamie Burns would be disappointed. I think he possibly could have popped it to Owen Keane, who would probably come. Either Owen Keane or Billy Murphy had come, or Billy Hennessy had come for the pop pass. It didn't happen, and he took a couple of extra steps, and the Erin's Own players were roaring at the referee to give him a free, and he has given it, but he hasn't converted it. So it's a free and a 65 that the Bear has failed to convert. So it's just a bit synonymous of the way the match has gone for Erin's Own tonight.
1-8 to 2 points, 5 wides against Erin's Own, 7 against the Bars, but the Bars converting those scores that little bit better, creating those scores that little bit better, and that goes down as another score for St. Finbarrs once again. Yeah,
fantastic score by Ben Cunningham. He's a fantastic pair of wrists, Patrick, and he's very, very accurate as well, and he's a real forward, a real talent for the future.
Big lead now, contributing 10-point lead for St. Finbarrs as we come into the closing stages of this opening half. That ball from Colm Coakley popped out to Sam Guilfoyle, looking to try and take on the defence. Guilfoyle just shortens the grip of the Hurley. That goes in, and that's a little bit better now from the Erin's Own centre forward.
Yes, and he has plenty pace and strength and size, and he has that ability to get scores. He was excellent against Blackrock, and he has given Erin's Own a badly needed score.
It's the puck from Hurley over towards that far side of the field. Well, there was a bit of a hurley there inside by a good tackle indeed. It actually was by Owen Finn. And there's a foul over there as the Barsman has been taken out of it. It's going to be a free inside the 45 over on that far side of the field.
Yeah, and again, like I suppose, for Erin's Own to get back into this game, Patrick, they need to get Robbie O'Flynn into the game. And at this moment in time, he was their talisman against Blackrock last weekend, but he's been picked up by Billy Hennessy, his inter-county teammate, and he's not getting a whole pile of change at this moment in time. A bit surprised that I said at the start of the commentary that he played out the field. He was magnificent at corner forward against Blackrock last weekend. It just hasn't, the ball hasn't fallen from him this evening for one reason or another. But they certainly need to get him on the ball to have any opportunity to get back into this game.
So a chance now. And Alan O'Connor and Brian Connery just marking where Ben Cunningham shall take the free. Inside that 45-metre line over on that far side. Ben Cunningham already contributing 1 free to the game, resulting in a point. Can he double his tally from place balls this evening? He scored 7 points against Charleville, 3 of those from last week. As 4 minutes of additional time being awarded here by Brian Connery at the end of the opening half, as Ben Cunningham does convert that score and extends the lead back out to 10 points.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Patrick. He's a very, very accurate player. And comment, I suppose, any fella stepping over a free, and then the commentator starts announcing there's 4 minutes, and he held his nerve and knocked the ball over the bar. Great play by Cunningham.
Great tackle inside there, blocked down by Jamie Burns, and the Bars defence smothering, getting in the numbers, but Burns had no hurley in his hand at that stage, at that juncture, so it's an opportunity now for Erin's Own to try and get a score outside to Colm Coakley. Pops the ball outside to Robbie O'Flynn. O'Flynn looking for a shot, and O'Flynn gets the score, and that's a little bit better from the Cockstar than what we haven't seen.
That's what we were looking for. We were looking for Robbie O'Flynn to get him on the ball. I mean, 6 points to last, and for Erin's Own to have any opportunity, they have to get O'Flynn on the ball as often as possible.
reduced back down to 9. The margin for the Bars is Ethan Toomey takes another slip in the centre of the field as now Erin's own start to swarm him. Oh, Kieran Murphy thought about a pull inside there, wasn't really warranted as that ball starting to squirt around. Sam Guilfoyle is in there for Erin's own, but the Bars have come out of it through Cian Walsh, and Ethan Toomey, nippy little player, pops the ball outside to Damien Cahalan, shortens the grip of the hurley, it goes to the left hand side and wide.
Yeah, number 7 wide for the Bars, 5 wides for Erin's own, and it's very congested between the 65 to 45 yard line and the Erin's own offensive side of the field.
There's the breaking ball batted down over there by John Neville, but Erin's own trying to win the breaking ball, and they've done so. Brian Ramsey, well, he takes a slip as well. A lot of boots have been the wrong ones, a lot of players that they have been wearing this evening, as the referee's going to halt to proceedings here as we going to take a clash ball on the 20-metre line.
And more often than not, players are probably playing with multi-studs at this time of the year still, and Páirc Queeve is obviously in great shape, but the shower before the game rained for about an hour and a half, and we had missed as well, so certainly it has made the field slippy.
And still a tussle for possession inside that 20-metre line over on that far side of the field. Barry Og Murphy is in there from Erin's own point of view, but again Cian Walsh winning another ruck ball, another dirty ball. That's dangerous ball played back inside as Shane Hurley now is under pressure. He's being held up inside there by Owen Murphy, but that is going to be a foul. He's showing frustration here with Brian Connery, and he's obviously not happy with that decision. And Brian Ramsey is also having a speaking to with Connery as well.
I think the bear was testing the spring in the hurley there, Patrick. It hasn't broken, but I'd say there could possibly be a hole in the field after it.
Shane Hurley with the free down towards this near sideline, squirting through. Well, Brian Hayes tried to get a hand in it. He's got 2 good tackles, great touches away. As Cian O'Connor now under pressure, just flicks that ball outside, looking for James O'Carroll, gets a hand. He was being held up illegally there, was Mossy O'Carroll, in fact, is who it was. And he's fouled the ball, he's fouled that free there. And the Bars man is now intercepting him. Canis Walsh is now going to get in on the act.
Well, it's a bit of fiasco now, to be honest about it. Like, shocking by the referee to leave that carry on going.
Puck out, or the free sent in towards the centre of the de-exclusion zone, but again the Bars winning the breaking ball once again. And here's Billy Hennessy playing a short in towards the 45-metre line. Here's Conor Dennehy. Ethan Toomey now thought about going right, went left, switch ball over towards the right corner forward position. It's going to work out okay, and the Bars have an opportunity to score. Well, what a tackle inside there by the Erin's own defender James O'Carroll to get in the interception, and Erin's own have an opportunity of a possible late score in the half here from a long range shot from Barry Owen Murphy. It's going to land inside the parallelogram. Owen Murphy's breaking out to the ball. He's beaten Shane Hurley to it. Murphy's walking out towards the 20-metre line, turns it over the left-hand shoulder. That's a great block there by Jamie Burns once again. That's his 3rd block of the evening so far. Colm Coakley coming onto the breaking ball, pops the ball back outside to Brian Ramsey, who's been harried and hassled inside her, gets the shot away, Ramsey, but that goes to the left-hand side and wide for Erin's own's 6th wide of the game, as we take that short whistle from Brian Connery of Crosshaven. And it's half-time in this Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship Group C clash, and it's the Bars who have a great handle in this game at half-time. They lead 110 to 4 points. We'll be back with you in 45 seconds. Yeah, have you here? Yeah, go ahead. So welcome back to Páirc Queeve, where it's half-time in this Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship. And the Bars 110, Erin's own 4 points. It was Erin's own who got off to the quicker of starts with a free from Owen Murphy, but Ben Cunningham replying with a crucial goal, and it's been all Bars traffic ever since. Mark Landers, who joins us on Analysis, and it's the City side who lead by 9 points at half time.
Yeah, and the first quarter was 1-6 to 2 points, and this was the second quarter was 4 points to 2. Like we have 8 wides for the Bars, and you have 6 wides for Erins on. So on the wide count is pretty similar, but I suppose there has been goal chances on both sides of the field. Erins on missed a couple of chances, but there were great saves from Shane Hurley than misses, I suppose. And then down the other side, certainly the Bars could have had a couple of other opportunities for goals. But I suppose overall, I think the Bars are probably good value for their lead of 110 to 4 points. I think Erins on will be really disappointed, Patrick, with 4 points from play. 4 points in total. So like they have missed a couple of opportunities, missed a 65 and they missed a free that Bear Murphy would probably normally put over the bar, and they need all those scores. But I think I mentioned in commentary in the first half like that, it's just that Robbie O'Flynn hasn't been on a whole pile of ball, and for Erins on to get a victory tonight, they would really need Robbie O'Flynn on the ball as often as possible. They made a decision to play him in the middle of the field at the start, and so be it, but you live and die by your decisions. But look, it's all about the Bars in the first half, and it's all about their movement. Certainly in the back line at the moment, they're really, really competent. They're physical, they're strong. They're turning balls over on a regular basis against the Erins own forward line. Like Sam Guilfoyle has tried really hard and has ran through on a number of occasions, but he's been dispossessed because the Bars have stood him up and they've waited for the opportunity to rise to take the ball off of him. But it's the launching pad for their forwards, and Ethan Toomey, who was named in the forwards, has come out as a kind of a third midfielder or a floating extra player all over the place, and he's got on a huge amount of ball. He's very high skill level, his confidence is obviously very high. We saw him flicking the ball to himself in the first half with his left foot into his hand, which is magnificent. But up front they have a real threat. All their forwards up front are scoring forwards. You know, mentioned the likes of Owen Finn has 3 points in play. I think Conor Callahan has 3 points from play. Jack Callahan, who's got an awful lot of ball, it surprisingly isn't on the score sheet yet, but that is down to the great work by Cian O'Connor at cornerback for Erins own. But overall, I'd say, Patrick, the Bars have the lion's share of possession. They probably have somewhere around 60-65% of possession, and their forwards are able to convert the ball. That to me is the big difference between the both teams. The Bars forwards are able to convert, whereas the Bars defence are well on top of the Erins own forwards, who can't get Robbie O'Flynn into the game.
And you mentioned about the wide count, 8 wides, 110, that's 19 scoreable shots, and they've obviously had landed a couple of shots saved by Shea Bowen, so they're creating 22 chances. You have to create chances to get scores, and you look at turning the tables, Erins own aren't creating those chances. No, but they're not. But that again, like I must say, even though we're playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, there's a huge amount of congestion between the 65-yard line and the 45-yard line on the Erins own forwards side of the field. So there was probably 6 or 8 players in there on a regular basis, and I mean by the Bars players as defenders and midfielders, and 1 extra forward as well. So they are, I suppose, stopping the ball at source there, overturning it, and then a couple of balls that the likes of Owen Keane and Glenn O'Connor has supplied fantastic ball on an angle ball and a diagonal ball out to the likes of Brian Hayes and Jack Callahan. So that makes it easy for the forwards. If you're Martin Bowen and Dermot O'Regan, what are you now trying to do? Are you sticking by your guns, sticking with that 2-man full back line, going 2-on-2 on Jack Callahan and Brian Hayes, or do you start thinking about bringing back a sweeper, but then you're going to lose a player in the middle of that congestion? Well, you see, the funny thing, Patrick, is that I think if Erins own were told before the game that they'd have only 110 conceded at half time, I think they'd be pretty happy. Most of the Erins own defenders, they've actually held out fairly well. Now, on a number of occasions, they probably lived on their nerves and stuff like that, because Shea Bowen has made a couple of saves, and there was one rasping shot that went across the face of the goal and went wide. But that is actually down to the Erins own. So I think Erins own will be happy with their backs, but you can't get primary possession in their half forward line. That's the biggest issue, and their failure to convert the opportunities that they're getting is probably another factor. They should be closer. I think they'll be disappointed to have only 4 points scored at half time. That would be a major failing. I mean, they got 2-18 against Blackrock, the county champions in Páirc Uí Ring. There may be a difference, Patrick, in the field as well, because you're playing in a bigger field here this evening, and you would get more ball in the smaller field and more scoring opportunities. But it's just, I'd have to say, the Bars half-back stroke midfield, very competent on the ball, very physical, and they're blocking the ball at source there. As the river dance plays out, there's going to be a lot of rivers dancing over the next 40 minutes or so, but like, look, it's not the greatest of games we've seen so far, but the Barrs are they're doing what they need to do, and they're coming out with numbers.
You know, the Barrs, to be fair to them, you know, they have 110 scored. I think they have about 1-8 from play scored, which is always a good sign. They have a nice sprinkling of scorers as well across the field. They have 5 different scorers, whereas the Erins, I think, have only 3 at the moment. So, you know, I mentioned this the last day, that the spread of scores across a team probably gives you a greater indication of the skill level and the opportunities that are going to fall, because as you go on in the championship and go on into the latter stages, your quarter-final, semi-final, you know, you will need all your players, when they get that opportunity to be able to knock the ball over the bar, that you get the scores. And right now it looks as though the Barrs look slightly a little bit more comfortable, I would say, than Erins in terms of the opportunities that the forwards are getting. The Barrs look like any time the ball goes into their forward line, they look like they're able to create space. As well as that, they're not panicking on any occasions. They're funneling the ball back to try and get a player in a better position on the ball. So for me, you know, I mentioned before the game that I fancied the Barrs just basically because of the better sprinkling of inter-county players, be it at minor or be it at under 20 or senior. And you mentioned Shane Hurley earlier on, having won intermediate All-Ireland. He has been outstanding in the goal for me tonight, and that is obviously huge, both from his puck out and his general play. And you saw, I think it was Damien Cahalan cross the ball across the goal straight into his hand, and Shane put his team on the attack. So for me, Barrs are very, very, very competent tonight, and Erin's only say probably not playing to scratch, and we're not seeing what we saw last. And that happens as well, because a team has probably been waiting 4 or 5 months to play a championship match. They get the win, and that high of coming up to that match and getting the win, and probably the turnaround in a week is a very short period of time for players to come back down and then go back up for another game as well. And I think that probably is having an effect on Erins tonight as well.
And of course, this game, as we mentioned at the top, has a massive result or a massive effect on the grouping as well, because if this result does stand, Charleville are back in the competition once again, and we'll all go down to round 3 on the 10th of October.
And Patrick, that is the beauty of the Cork Championship that we have here at the moment, is that every game matters now.
Not even just every game, every score counts.
Every score counts, because there's a possibility coming out tonight. You have the Barrs tonight at the moment, could possibly have 4 points. They're playing the Rockies next weekend in a kind of a, you know, I suppose the Barrs will have the opportunity of going top with 6 points. Blackrock will be trying to make sure that they secure the second spot. You have Erins who have 2 points in the first round, and you have Charleville who will be saying, well, if we can beat Erins, we have our 2 points, and if the Barrs beat the Rockies, they'll only have 2 points. So you'll have 3 teams in the bottom with 2 points, and you will have the Barrs in 6, and it comes down to scoring differences. So that's what makes the Cork Senior Hurling Championship so exciting, that every game matters. And I can remember for years touting this as the option for our club players in the county, and I was told by the powers that be that it would be there'd be too many dead rubbers. There's no dead rubber in this championship, and this is what makes it so exciting.
And there's plenty more excitement to come over the coming weeks. Of course, we'll have games in the Bonsecures Football Championships coming your way next week, as there's a half-time substitution here for Erin's own. Cian O'Callaghan is in for Owen Murphy, so it looks like the Bear has picked up some sort of an injury. That's a blow now to Erin's own, Mark. It's a blow because he's a free taker as well, Patrick. He's going to be a big loss. I didn't see him picking up an injury in the first half, so we don't know 100% why he's gone off, but he will be a loss. As the second half of this Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship Group C clash gets underway, and the aforementioned Murphy, well, it's the other Murphy brother, Kieran, gets in on the act, pops the ball up. Ben Cunningham winning possession, brings it up to the 65, and he sends the ball to the right hand side and wide. Yeah, so Erin's have the 2 men inside line as well now, and Robbie O'Flynn, I think, has gone into the full forward line with Cian O'Callaghan, and he's been picked up by Damien Cahalan. Here's Barry O'Murphy under pressure, doing very well, but the Barrs numbers are going to tell. That was a wild swing of a hurley as that ball's knocked out over the sideline. It's going to be marked there by our Ballygarvan official Alan O'Connor. It's Erin's own line ball. Chance now for Barry O'Murphy to set the scene. Great sideline cut, but in fairness, just down to the spare man, who's Owen Keane. And Keane plays a short, snappy ball down to this right flank. Owen Finn finding men in space, switching the play to Damien Cahalan. Cahalan looked left, he never saw right. He got caught in the hop, and James O'Carroll is bringing it up towards the 20-metre line, and Erin's Owens, big opportunity, plays it into Robbie O'Flynn, one-handed, back of the net. And Damien Cahalan, one was going to say, is the cause of that goal.
Well, I mean, it's beggars belief, to be honest, but the ball squirted over to the south stand, and he must have thought that there was nobody else in the field. And up came the Erin's Own players. James O'Carroll robbed him, passed it into Robbie O'Flynn, who duly put the ball in the net.
Well, if you needed a shot in the arm, this game has certainly got it now. It's come to life as Barry O'Murphy has won possession off that the Bars puck out. Mossy O'Connell sending this one long. Was caught inside there by Shane Hurley, who shows a good clean pair of heels. It didn't get the clearance of pucks away. Well, he got away with it on that occasion because Owen Keane was in there to pick up the crumbs, and that's a low opportunity for John Neville to get in there. But Neville got hit so hard, his ball squirted out, and it's gone out for an Erin's Own sideline ball, and Erin's Own have thundered into the second half.
Thundered into the second half, Patrick, and particularly their forwards have thundered into the game. Sam Kilfoyle, I think, turning over John Hammer Neville there, and a line ball in for Erin's Own.
Under pressure is Cian O'Callaghan inside the 13-metre line, trying to regather his feet, but there's Bars numbers inside there, and they've won it once again through Owen Keane. Long ball, short ball over to us, that far side. It's the longest point away from us, but Erin's Own have come over once again, and Robbie O'Flynn under pressure. He's going to try and hop catch. Is that 3 catches or one? The play continues on. Here's the hero Murphy. Kieran Murphy gets himself on the score sheet for the first time this evening.
Yeah, fantastic score on Erin's Own. Are 1-5 to 1-10 now, back in the game, a goal and a point after half-time, just exactly what they needed to get back into the game.
Smash of the ash from the puck out down the centre of the park. And as the breaking ball picked up there by James O'Flynn, and Erin's Own have become a different animal in this second half. Robbie O'Flynn looking to try and get a score. That's been blocked down though. That's gone out for a 65. And oh my God, the umpire says go for a wide ball.
This is absolutely shocking by Brian Connery and his umpires. It's clearly a 65 and it has been waved wide. It's a shocking decision by his mentors.
And look what this is going to work out to, because the Bars are in on goal here. An opportunity for Jack Cahalan. Great tackle on James O'Carroll though. Oh dearie me, that could have been detrimental to this game, but play continues on, and Barry O'Murphy clearing the lines in towards the full forward line. An opportunity inside here for Cian O'Callaghan, but didn't seem to be getting in on the act. It's an opportunity here for Cormac Dooley, or in fact, Jamie Burns, I should say, to play back to Shane Hurley, who works it through the lines to Billy Hennessy and to Owen Keane. Works it short. Ethan Toomey off the shoulder run here from Billy Hennessy, working it into space. Switch ball towards Brian Hayes. But first out to it there was Cormac Dooley, and Dooley got out to it, dispossessing Hayes, but Hayes got in on the act. He's still throwing his body inside there, pops the ball back outside to Conor Cahalan. There's a goal opportunity here for the Bars, popped outside to the younger brother Jack Cahalan, just couldn't get the hurley in it. Bale, what a hit inside there by James O'Carroll on the younger Cahalan brother, shortens the stick of the hurley, not to grace the balls back outside to Hayes, to Conor Cahalan. There's men outside on the right, pulls back, squirted back out to Hayes, so Conor Cahalan ding pass back outside, and it's the dual under 20 star has converted that score.
Yes, and the Bars did really, really well. I'd compliment both the forwards and the defenders there. The Erin's Own defenders at least blocked Bars 4 or 5 different opportunities to actually score. And in fairness to the Bars forwards, they didn't panic. They funneled the ball around and got it onto a shooter in the better position, Brian Hayes, who's ended up scoring 2 points, and he's having a fine tussle there with Cormac Dooley in the full back line position. But overall, it's a way better game. The start of the second half, and it's only 4 or 5 minutes old. The tempo of the game has raised significantly, and that is down, I think, to Erin's Own about a way more fight to the second half, which is great.
There's a substitution on the Erin's Own team. Kevin Fenton is in for Cathal Lenihan, but that decision there, Mark, we could clearly see it from here that that ball was gone out for a 65. It could end up as a Bars goal at the other end.
It should have been a Bars goal at the other end, to be fair. Jack Cahalan had won the ball, and just the ball squirted out of his hand. But it's a really, really poor decision by the umpire. But the referee was close enough, in my opinion, to obviously realise that it had gone off his hurley for a 65 as well. That's a poor. Our players deserve better than that, Patrick.
So play resumes from the puck out of Shea Bones. The Barrs, who lead by 6 points, as that ball is, well, it's caught inside the 20-metre line, but I don't think too many officials are going to be picking up on that one, as Shea Bones brings it outside the 20-metre line. Long raking ball, looking for the run of Robbie O'Flynn, being closely marshalled here by David Callahan. Off the training ground move from Robbie O'Flynn. Brilliant back at the net. Goal.
Yeah, when they're Erins are right back in this game, Patrick, and we mentioned at half-time, if Erins were to get back into the game, the Robbie O'Flynn would have to be played in the forwards. They started him inside in the full forward line in the second half. What he was doing in the middle of the field in the first half, I'm unsure. Whatever game plan Erins were doing, it certainly had taken the life out of the team, but they're back in the game big time. 111, 14 points, pace 2-5, 11. This is going to test the Barrs now, Patrick, because they had it all their own way in the first half. Let's see now with the Barrs. They are being tested at this moment in time. There's plenty of time. Let's see them get their composure back now. Let's see what's going to happen for the next 25 minutes. But this has brought the game to life. The second goal by Robbie O'Flynn.
But clearly, that was clearly off the training ground, because Robbie O'Flynn started outside the D and walked inside the shoulder of Damien Callahan, beat him off the shoulder and got the ball inside the man.
Yes, absolutely. Straight off at the training ground. But you know, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But on this occasion, the fact that Flynn got it, jinked past these men, and you know, he still had a bit of work to do, because Hurley has been outstanding in the first half and rattled the back of the net for Erins on.
2-1 from Robbie O'Flynn out of nowhere. 2 goals in the opening 7 minutes of this second half. And this game, from what was a poor game, has turned into a really exciting game. And Owen Keane is under pressure from the puck out. Heavy hit there on the Erins own man. Keane finding pressure. He pops the ball outside, coolly and composed, out towards Damien Callahan, who shortens the stick and plays along inside towards the full forward line to Brian Hayes. But a boot inside there from Cormac Dooley. Intercepted Hayes. Great flick up there from the right boot of Hayes. Popped the ball outside towards his under-20 compatriot, Jack Callahan. Callahan looking for the score and gets it. 2 audacious pickups this evening by Barrs players.
Well, the Jude players, Patrick, obviously we'll start promoting football down in all these Cork clubs, because that's both Brian Hayes and Ethan Toomey. Massive skill, great confidence out of both lads. But Jack Callahan, who got a lot of possession out through the night, has finally got in the score sheet. Well deserved.
For score in the 38th minute of this game, as Erins looking to try and get in as a super tackle. Well, the referee is going to get... Referee's pinning John Neville for that tackle. I must say, I thought it was actually a legitimate tackle.
Yeah, it's a funny one, to be honest with it. He's probably left a lot of those frees go, and we're going to see the first opportunity, I think, for Robbie O'Flynn possibly to take a free. You know, the Bear Murphy has been their regular free taker, I say, for 15 years at this stage. And, you know, whether he's injured or taken off at half-time, Aaron's already made the decision to make the move and make that change, and Robbie O'Flynn gets his first free for Aaron's own.
So a chance now for Robbie O'Flynn from the place ball. Oh dear God, hasn't been touched inside. Oh, it's going into the back of the net. Would you believe it? Hasn't been touched inside there. It might have been from Cian O'Callaghan, but one way or the other, it's in the back of the net, and it's a third green flag for Erin's own.
I think it got a touch from Cian O'Callaghan. There was a touch of the goal that JBM scored years ago against Galway, where he got a flick on the ball. And what a turnaround we're seeing in this game now, Patrick, with a third Erin's own goal in the first 9 minutes of the second half.
Now the character of the Toker side is going to have to be shown here, as Erin's own looking to try and level up this game. Short and stick work from Jack Callahan, blocked down, and a chance for Erin's own to come on the counter-attack once again. Callahan, Damien it is, versus Robbie O'Flynn, and it's the Castlehaven stroke Barrs man who's come out on top of this stage, but he's closely marshalled. All the way out there by Robbie O'Flynn, pops the ball long to Conor Dennehy, walking inside the 45-metre line, and Dennehy, coolly composed, splits the post.
That's a great response from the Barrs, and a great response from Conor Dennehy. You had all a good play there from Damien Callahan, who won his 50-50 battle there with Robbie O'Flynn. Raced up the field, parted it to Dennehy, who scored his second point of the game, but scored it off his left-hand side, and a score that was badly needed by the Barrs.
Sean Kelly, wearing number 29, is in for Colm Coakley for Erin's own, as that ball has been pucked out over towards that far side of the field. 113 plays 3-5, 16 points to 14, and here is number 27 Kevin Fenton, who's come in on the game, and he's won a free for a high hurley to the back of the helmet.
Yeah, and a legitimate free now. He had won the ball and tried to go through, and the Barrs defender, I think it might have been Cian Walsh on that occasion, had thrown his hands around him, and probably should have been better off to keep his hands down at his chest height, but it was over the shoulder. So again, a fortuitous goal from Robbie O'Flynn from wouldn't say it was a miss hit, but it was certainly a top spin on it. It ended up in the net, and not the easiest free in the world, very close to the south stand side, but a free of his calibre, or a player of his calibre, should be scoring these frees.
So a chance now for Robbie O'Flynn to get a further score on that. And no, the referee, the umpire is going slow to the flag. It's going to the right-hand side and wide. There's a puck out from Hurley over towards that far side of the field. Well, I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. It's a very soft free, Mark.
It's very handy, I'd have to say. You know, there was certainly a bit of a clash of a Hurley and stuff, and we could hear the clash from here, but it was a nothing free, to be honest with it. You know, in the general context of the way the game has gone, he hasn't been awarding frees for that, so players will always tell you in management, they're looking for consistency out of referees and officials and stuff for that. And it's not the easiest free in the world, between the 45 and the 65 out on the sideline, but a bit surprised that he even got a free for it.
Well, there is a chance now for Ben Cunningham to extend the lead back out to 3 points, just to restore some calmness among the Toker side. Cunningham off the left from the north stand side of the field, just drags it right and wide. That's the 10th wide now for the Bars in this game. Erin's own have 7 against Erin, as this puck out goes short from Shea Bowen to Mossy O'Carroll. Sends along towards the half-forward line, looking to try and get a flick on. There was one of the Erin's own players, but it's been walked short by the Bars man. But Erin's own going to win the breaking ball, but they're not. There's a hand in there by the Bars. Under pressure here is James O'Carroll. James O'Flynn, in fact. O'Flynn, well, there's a tackle that pull of the arm, says our official, so it's going to be a free. It's going to have to be brought back to the 45-metre line, incorrect position. Shea Bowen is sprinting out to this one to be taken.
12 minutes gone now in the second half, Patrick, and you know, it is 16 points versus 14 points. So, you know, it's a very, very close game, and every score matters. And I think the 65 that should have been, and maybe the free to Robbie O'Flynn should have converted. You could have a level game at this moment in time.
Long puck from Shea Bowen, going a long way in, but it's going to pull to the left and wide. They're crucial things now towards the end of this game.
But in a tight game like this, every score matters, and you know, the Erins zone will be looking to convert all those opportunities.
Puck out from Shane Hurley, measured over towards that far side, but that's a great tackle inside there.
Oh, well, he's gone whistle happy now at this stage. Like, I mean, like every passage of play now, there seems to be a free being awarded. That's about 4 frees in the space of 2 minutes. And I mean, you know, we were I suppose we were given a great 5 or 10 minutes in the opening second half, but like it's turned into a free fest in the last 3 or 4 minutes, which doesn't serve any purpose for either team.
I'm not sure what the foul is for, Mark.
It looked like he was flicking the Bears player was flicking it past the end zone for the end zone flip with his hand to try and stop it, but there was nothing in it, and it's just.
But that's a legitimate tackle, like to go from the side, like a chop is from top down.
Chop comes down, playing the Hurley. He didn't flick it up to play the Hurley. He went in to try and flick the ball away from him. It was a nodding free. That's 2 or 3 frees now in a row that would have to say I'm very disappointed, because he's a good referee, but they're very easy frees.
Well, Ben Cunningham converts that free, the one he missed a moment ago. So the margin is now out to 3 points, 114 to 3-5, 17 points. Plays 14 as we close out this third quarter, and the ball sent long up there by Cian O'Connor. Over towards that far side, was going on for the sideline ball for the Bars. John Neville over there, well, plays the short. Ben Cunningham showing good stick work, good flick away there on that occasion there by James O'Carroll. So it's going to be a second sideline ball over on that far side. As the mist just starts to descend here once again. Just on a lighter note, 2 Bars players getting each other's way. There, Ethan Toomey it was on one of those. There's a Bars man in possession over on that far side of the field. He's to leave go of it on this occasion. 2 Erin's own men getting away on that occasion. And chance now for Ethan Toomey to try and clear the lines. Does so towards the full forward line. Jack Cahalan, but it's been scooped up outside there by Brian Hayes, who turns it around. Ben Cunningham has time to settle himself, send the ball in, but that goes to the left-hand side and wide.
Yeah, and probably, you know, a ball in the first half, he shot from the same angle as well in the first half, and would have been better off to funnel the ball back into play and keep it in play.
As Darren Zone's puck out goes short on this occasion between Mossy O'Carroll and Brian Ramsey, but this time it's been cut out over there by Billy Hennessy. Played out towards Glenn O'Connor, out towards Owen Keane now. Keane in possession, sending the ball long in towards the full forward line. It's going to work out here for Brian Hayes, who just scoops the ball forward. Well, that looked like more of a chop, but he got full contact in the ball with no hurley, so play continues on, and James O'Flynn is there to pick up the pieces, and the captain, well, there's a flick of the hurley across the hand there on the Erin's own captain, shortens the stick. There's no advantage coming there. Referee has put down the hand fairly quickly within the 5 seconds. That works out short. It's going to work out okay though for Erin's own, because they have tacked on another score through the hand of the hero Murphy.
Yeah, and again, good play by James O'Flynn. And the referee, in fairness, allowed advantage to develop. And Ciaran Murphy got on the end of it for a good score for Erin's own.
Ethan Toomey now pops the ball back outside out towards Glenn O'Connor. And again, now the Barrs going back to the game plan, trying to work it through the channels, and has worked a couple of times in this game already as Conor Cahalan turns on the afterburners. But this just falling right it is.
Yeah, and I'd have to say that the Barrs, some of the shooting out of the Barrs has been, the decision making, I suppose, rather than the shooting, has been poor. You know, Conor was very well marked there by James O'Flynn, put him under pressure, and he's hit it wide on the amateur side of the goals.
As the puck out over towards that far side, but that's a poor touch there on this occasion by Cian O'Callaghan. It's gone out for a Barrs line ball inside their own 45 at the north stand side. We're inside the final 13 minutes. The water break yet to come from our Crosshaven official. Can't be too far away from it now.
And the Barrs have gone back now to a two-man inside line, Jack Cahalan and Brian Hayes. Just starting to get themselves back into the game, I would suspect, and the cushion of 3 points at the moment, you know, is an uncomfortable lead in some respects, Patrick, but you know, I think both teams will probably want to go to the water break. Erins had a massive 5 or 6 minutes straight after half time. I won't say they've gone out of the game, but there's no fluidity to the game. The game has become very scrappy. A lot of that is down to sideline balls and frees as well. So there's been a lot of stoppages and breakages in play.
A sideline ball from the Barrs went out over the line and was taken by the Erin's own man, Barry Og Murphy. As a ruck has ensued in the 45-metre line, but coming out of it was Mossy O'Carroll out towards Barry Og Murphy. Well, that's a poor shot there from the Erin's own number 19, and that is where we're going to take the water break at the end of the third quarter. While Erin's own have come out on top there, 2-2 to 4 points mark, a 4-point turnaround.
Yeah,
for Erin's own. It was a 6-point lead at one stage in that third quarter.
Yeah, it has been a remarkable recovery, no doubt. We've seen Erin's own doing this down through the years, and in the main, I think Robbie O'Flynn was probably the key man there in the third quarter, getting 2 goals from play. He also struck the free, probably topped the free, but Cian O'Callaghan got the slightest of touches and put the ball into the back of the net. So, you know, it's a bit of an uncomfortable situation for the Barrs, but I think in some respects you'll find a bit more about your team now in the last quarter, because, you know, having been 110 to 4 points up, 9 points up, it's now back down to 3 points. That's a significant change, but ultimately it's 15 scores versus 9. It would seem to me that the Barrs should have the potential to go on. Their decision making has been poor in some of the scores that they probably should have been better off to funnel the ball and keep the ball back in play. But that was Erin's own quarter there. A magnificent recovery from them. They've got the goals. A little bit unlucky, I think, Patrick. 65 that should have been awarded, and probably a free that should have been converted. And Shea Bowen had an opportunity as well for a point from a free that just sailed left and wide. With a bit of luck, Erin's could be level at this moment in time.
Barrs got a free from a point that possibly contentious.
I would have to say, I didn't see a whole pile in it now, to be fair, and I hate criticising referees because it's the easiest job in the world to criticise anybody, but I have to say that some of the decisions will probably, you know, baffle, I'd say, both sides of both mentors tonight.
So Martin Bowen and Ronan Curran, the respective management sides, have dealt out their instructions to both sides. Ronan Curran obviously just saying, let's settle back into the game plan once again. We've lost that third quarter. We need to settle again. As for Erin's own, they just need to keep the tempo rate going and the work rate going as we resume play from the puck out of Shane Hurley. And that ball has gone over the sideline from the hurley of Owen Keane. Billy Hennessy was never getting there as the ball runs out. So it's going to be a sideline for Erin's own over on that far side of the field.
Yeah, but some of those mistakes that have creeped into the Bars play in the second half, we didn't see that. They were very much on the front foot. They were hurling well within themselves. Just made a couple of mistakes, but this last quarter now is going to be a fantastic for both sets of teams to see who's going to get the result here this evening.
And of course, Charleville will be watching this game very closely as the referee is now pinning an Erin's own man for a hold of the hand. Charleville will be watching this game because they'll be praying for an Erin's own victory to keep them in the hunt for a possible qualification place in 3 weeks' time.
I think they'll be hoping that Erin's own don't stay in the hunt, Patrick.
Yes, sorry.
Because
yes.
I think if Erin's own win,
if Erin's own win,
okay.
Charleville but the Bars, they need the Bars to win for them to stay in the competition.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sorry.
So another free here from Ben Cunningham that you'd expect him to convert. But again, the game has tightened up a little bit. And this again is another test of character for Ben Cunningham. From
the centre of the park, already scoring 1-4 in this game. Already 3 of those points from place ball. You're going to put attack on another score there. A 4th point from place ball. And it's now 1-5 to the name of Ben Cunningham. Yeah, fantastic free now. And a free that the Bars needed to get just to get it out to a 2-score game. As the puck out down towards the near sideline. It was a wild hurley there from Damien Cahalan. That ball squirty out in front of Cian O'Callaghan. In possession, the hero Murphy. In fact, sorry, it is Barry Og Murphy, I should say. Out now to Kieran Murphy. Switch ball over towards the centre of the park. And a great catch inside there. Here is working inside is Sean Kelly, who's come on as a second half substitute. Kelly's been missed over the past couple of weeks. He's making his contribution felt there. Yeah, and a great ball from Barry Og Murphy, who was strongly challenged. Laid it off to Kieran Murphy, who saw Sean Kelly in the loose. And they've done that for many years. They've done it for the last 15 years of their own zone. Great score by Kelly. And Kelly has won the breaking ball over on that far side of the field, turning from defence into attack. And Robbie O'Flynn looking to try and get the beating of Damien Cahalan, but Sam Guilfoyle's won the breaking ball. He's under pressure inside here from Owen Keane. There was an advantage, not accruing, says a referee. And now a chance for Erin's own with a free to try and bring the margin back down. Back down to 2, yeah. And I mean, I think Sam Guilfoyle, we saw it last week against the Bars. He's a really strong, really physical player with a great gears as well. Took on Owen Keane, and Owen had done his level best to try and stop him, but he felt like he had to foul him. And I think a correct decision by the referee. Huge matchup inside in that full forward line, as we just saw the 2 men walking away in the photo a while ago, Damien Cahalan and Robbie O'Flynn, as Brian Ramsey now is stepping up to take this one. So a change and free taker here as well. Ramsey stepping up, cleanly struck in between those uprights, bisecting him, and now the margin down to the minimum. Well, this is a massive turnaround in the game. I don't think anybody could have foreseen what has happened in the second half, but this is Erin's own that you're playing against, and they've done it time and time again. Showing a great true test of character as that ball is worked on over there by Kevin Fenton, and a chance for Guilfoyle to set up another attack. Shortens the stick of the hurley. There was a block in on Guilfoyle. He gets back in on it once again. He's working his way towards the 20-metre line, but great tackling there by Billy Hennessy and Owen Keane, and a chance for John Neville. Well, he's been a high hurley on the Bars cornerback, and it's a Bars free out, and a chance will be taken here by Shane Hurley. Yeah, and a lot of the fluidity that was in the Bars play in the first half, Patrick, is how we haven't seen it yet in the second half. Shane Hurley takes this free, sending it long inside. Cahalan getting a hand in there, but getting the Hurley away from it there was Cormac Dooley as the ball lands out short. Ethan Toomey dived himself on the ball to try and protect possession, but Jack Cahalan's broke in on the breaking ball, and the Bars now flooding forward in numbers, but Cahalan just shortens the stick, does the wise thing. Well, I thought the wise thing was put it over, but my God, in front of goal, he puts it wide. Well, that, Patrick, that just shows you the pressure that is on the players, and they all feel the pressure that's out in the field, having been in a 9-point lead at half time. That's now down to 2. That pressure is really on them. We're in for an exciting finish here live on the Irish Examiner from Páirc Uí Chaoimh in this Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. Remember, the Bars led at half-time 110 to 4 points. Now it's the minimum between them as a foul is laid out by Kieran Murphy on Glenn O'Connor.
Yes, and the Bears will be looking for their talisman, right? They'll be looking for the men here. They'll be looking for Glenn O'Connor. They'll be looking for Owen Keane. They'll be looking for Billy Hennessy. And I think in particular Damien Cahalan to step up to the plate now. They'll be looking for that defence that was so good in the first half to get on the ball. Don't concede easy frees. When the Erins zone forwards will get it, don't foul them in possession. Stay in the tackle. Wait for them to throw up the ball and flick it away. But more in particular, they'll be looking for the Bears half backline to start to get a grip on that game. Also, Ethan Toomey, who had a fantastic first half, has been well marshalled by Erins zone as well in the second, and he is having no major play or no major influence in the second half.
So Ian Lorden here for the Bears is coming on for Brian Hayes, and it looks like there's a change on the Erins zone side. The hero Murphy, Kieran Murphy, is coming off. Mark Collins is in for him. So substitutions at both ends here. It looks like now Erins zone have used their full complement. Obviously, Brian Hayes is just being monitored from the footballing situation because he'll be back out next week as there's a yellow card being brandished here to Mossy O'Carroll by our Crosshaven official. That's being confirmed here by our PA announcer Peter Dennehy as the resumption of play now is from the free of Ben Cunningham inside his own 65. The Bears lead by a point, 115 to 3-8, and we're just coming up to the 5 minutes left on the clock. Cunningham with the shot, but again dragging right. Now the pressure is starting to apply. 14th wide of the game for the Bears.
Yeah, and you know, it's all aboard now at this moment in time. Neither player coming off, Kieran Murphy or Brian Hayes, were happy with the management, and they had words on the sideline with both managements.
And a foul on Ethan Toomey there against Brian Ramsey by the looks of it, an illegal shoulder. And a chance once again for the Bears.
And Ben Cunningham is coming back inside his own 65-yard line to strike this. He certainly will have the distance. The most important thing is the accuracy to get that point on the board, Patrick. But you know, it'll just show you the nervousness, and I suppose the two players that were taken off there, just to comment, it just shows you how, I suppose, they're really into it and they want to be out in that field of play, Patrick, and they left their managements no coming off, you know.
And while the scores aren't big, there's a huge intensity and physicality to the game.
It's massive, and but it's nervous as well. Both teams can feel they can win, and both players want to show that they have a part to play in this.
I mean, that's another wide from Ben Cunningham. He missed the target by a long way on that occasion. A 15th wide for the Bears this evening as that puck out lands short. And Erins zone now are going route one here, going all the way in. Oh my God, what a hit! Oh dear, Robbie O'Flynn with a heavy challenge here on Owen Keane, and there is going to have to be a stoppage on play as the medical staff are going to have to come out here.
Well, I think it's purely accidental, Patrick. Robbie O'Flynn had his eye on the ball. No question or doubt about that. It is a clash of heads. You could hear the two helmets were clashing, but I suppose Owen Keane was standing under the ball, whereas Robbie O'Flynn was coming with momentum and stuff like that. He's now down, getting attention as well. But definitely an accidental collision.
Yeah. So there's a Bears substitution coming here. Colin Barrett is coming into the play. Just a heavy hit.
Yeah, and the medical
Paul
people
O'Keefe is out there, and Dr. Paddy Barry is making his way out as well from an Erins zone side just to make sure all is okay.
And Owen Keane is getting back on his knees. He's up on his knees. He's okay, but he definitely got a serious collision there, purely accidental, no malice whatsoever in it. And whether he'll play on or not, now we'll have to wait and see. But Owen Keane has made stern stuff, in fairness to him. He's stalwart for the Bears team for a long time. The kid Hogue, who's been playing centre back for a long time for the Bears, took a heavy hit there, purely accidental, and he is back on his feet. He looks like he's probably a little bit dazed and stuff like that, but he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's going to make his way off the field, Mark. I think just with the new rule with the concussion, it's a free sub for a head injury, so and obviously there is some blood there as well, so it's just going to be assessed here, and he is in good hands. Dr. Paul O'Keefe bringing him off the field there in the black cap.
Always a great sign of a player, Patrick, when he doesn't want to come off, but at some stages your medical team and your professionals have to step in and say, come here lad, there's going to be another day, let your teammates now carry the can. But he's had a fantastic game for the Bears, and there will be other days for this team and for him.
So we're going to resume play with Damien Cahalan. We just see, I'm not sure who the blood sub who has come on there. We might pick that up in a moment as Damien Cahalan resumes play, looking for his younger brother Jack, who just beautifully stops the ball over that far side. Great tackle by an Erin's own Hurley though, and it's going to be a Barrs. And Colm Keane. Colm Keane is in for Owen Keane. So 115 to 3-8.
Okay, and up the field, like there's a massive amount of players for people who can't see this at home, but there is at least 13 players on each side, and the Barrs forward line at this moment in time, and there's no one up in the, only 2 players at home up in the Erin's own side.
As this ball has gone left and wide, the Barrs players are contesting it. Colm Keane is one of those, was gone for another wide. So that's the 16th wide, 8 in either half here for the Barrs in this game, as Erin's own have plucked this ball out of the sky. Is there a goal opportunity? Robbie O'Flynn across the face of goal. Just, oh, what a save! What a save! Shane Hurley off the hurley of Mark Collins, who was in on goal. It's gone out for a 65.
A massive save from Shane Hurley. He's been worth his weight in goal tonight. That's the 3rd save, but there's no doubt that is the most important save that he's made this evening. Magnificent catch by Collins out in the 45-yard line. Raced through, dinked inside one of the Barrs defenders and let go inside the 21 off his left-hand side. But Shane Hurley was up to the task and has deflected outside the post for a 65. Great save.
6 minutes of additional time, so there's a lot more drama to come. But first, the first piece of drama as we start that injury time. Can Brian Ramsey level up this game? Game has never been level here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and imagine that. The Barrs led by 9 points at half time. He has done that. It's a level game for the first time in the 60th minute.
Well, who would have believed that at half time, Patrick, that Erin's own, who were 9 points down at half time, are level on the 60th minute with injury time to be played.
Incredible stuff indeed, as the puck out gone down towards this near sideline under pressure. Well, it's gone out over the sideline. Alan O'Connor is offending that. It's gone out over the sideline, and it's going to be a sideline ball and just needs to settle things back down. Martin Bowen trying to urge his players to kick on and keep on going all the way to the net, and undoubtedly the Erin's own side will always do that.
Yes, but who'd want to pick a winner, Patrick, at this stage? Because, you know, both teams, you know, Erin's own, you'd have to say, probably have the momentum at this moment in time. The Barrs have got opportunities in the second half, but their decision making has been poor, and anything can happen in the last 6 minutes here. Oh dear, there's some wild slashing there. Martin Bowen's obviously not happy with the decision, whatever's happened there. Jack Cahalan's in with a word as well to add into measure, but it's going to be a free in for the Barrs. Yeah, good call by the referee. Jack Cahalan was the first person to get a clatter across the leg. He flicked the ball past his man, and a correct decision by the referee to give a free. Bit strange here now. I think we're going to have a change in free taker as well. The number 15, which is Owen Finn, no stranger to taking frees as well. And you know, but the Barrs management have made a decision to change the free taker. Ben Cunningham has said, come here. We're looking for a bit more experience.
Oh dear. That's gone right and wide by 6 inches. And an opportunity now, and these wides are starting to count against the Barrs in this second half. As the puck out goes long from Shea Bowen, looking for Mark Collins. Always a trusty hand, but on this occasion, Glenn O'Connor picked up the crumbs and played the ball, switching it towards that far side of the field. Who's going to win this game as we enter the final 4 minutes? As Jack Cahalan is gone inside those numbers, gone in through the centre of the park, looking for inside for Colin Barrett, but just gone that little bit too far. Turns back outside, sees Owen Finn in space, needs to convert the score, and he's put it to the right hand side again, like the last free, right and wide.
Well, I mentioned earlier on about decision making. The first decision was Jack Cahalan's. He went to play it across the field to substitute. He tried to knock the ball off of the bar and put the Barrs into the lead.
Mark Collins with an opportunity to put the Barrs in with Erin's own in with an opportunity to take the lead. Here's Sam Guilfoyle over on the far side of the field. It's all drama and excitement live on the Irish Examiner from Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Ball breaking around. Who's going to win possession? Who can win this game? A lot at stake from a Group C point of view, as Barrs trying to break out of their defence. defence. Here's Glenn O'Connor. We're level inside the final 3 minutes of injury time. Here comes Conor Cahalane, bringing it in towards the centre of the park. Slips to the floor. Under pressure here from Mossy O'Carroll, who looking to try and turn him over. Damien Cahalane's been dispossessed, and a chance for Sean Kelly to win possession. A great stalwart for Erin's own throughout the years. Here's James O'Flynn. Well, Jack Cahalane was undoubtedly taken out of it. There's an opportunity, ball squirting through, a chance of Shane Hurley. He's been held up inside the 20-metre line, and it's really physical, real intensity towards the closing stage of this game. Shane Hurley has dropped the ball, but now it's an opportunity to settle things back down, and the Bars have got back again. Ethan Toomey from the half-back line. Long ball in towards Colin Barrett. Caught it, first time, turned on his right. Pops the ball outside. Ben Cunningham, can he win the game for the Bars? Cunningham sends the ball in, and the Bars take the lead.
It was decision making. Lawton had won it well. He could have taken on the chance. He saw Ben Cunningham in a better position and put it straight into his hand. Great score by Cunningham.
Who can win this game? It's all about pressure, tense moments. Can you keep your composure? Ball popped up by Mossy O'Carroll. Walked down the line. Is there an opportunity of a score? Walked around the shoulder from Robbie O'Flynn. It's inside that near upright. What a score from Robbie O'Flynn.
Fantastic score. The Bears lines are going mad down here in front of us. They're claiming that the ball was wide. It's incredible. Fierce drama here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
What a score from Robbie O'Flynn to level the game once again. 90 seconds left on the clock. Which way can this go? Is it the Bars to keep Charleville in the competition, or can Erin's own knock him out before round 3? The ball is in the melting pot. Who's going to come out with this one? There's a heavy shot. There's a high hand across there from Glenn O'Connor across the body of Cian O'Connor, and it's a chance. And this is a chance now for Shea Bowen to step up in the final minute of injury time.
Yeah, well, he'll definitely have the length, Patrick, to score this point. A bit unlucky, I think. Glenn O'Connor had stepped across the Erin's own player to just stop him to come out. The referee has awarded a free. Erin's own don't do anything easy. Everything goes down to the wire with them. It's been a fantastic recovery, and they have an opportunity now to snatch a victory.
Some excitement, some drama. We're inside the final minute. 1:16 plays 3:10. 19 points apiece as Shea Bowen. It all rests on his shoulders. It's going straight in towards the parallelogram. Where's it going to end up in towards the edge of the square? It nearly ended up into the paw of Robbie O'Flynn. Now, is there a chance for the Bars to try and win this game? Conor Cahalane sends a long ball, but in fairness to Erin's own, they set up well defensively. They've walked it back. Mossy O'Carroll couldn't get a contract on the ball. Out towards Sean Kelly, back out towards Mossy O'Carroll. Is he the winner? Sends the ball, it's going a long way in. Shane Hurley's got a great hand inside there. Gets possession of the ball, he's under pressure inside. Oh dear, he pops the ball outside, out towards Billy Hennessy. Hennessy under pressure, bringing it outside the de-exclusion zone. The referee is a look at his watch. Play continues on. Barstow with opportunity. He calls a halt to the game. It ends up as a draw game in this Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. Group C encounter. 1:16 the Bars, 3:10 Erin's own. What a titanic encounter in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Oh, I've seen it all, Patrick. It is just, the second half has absolutely been magnificent. It had everything, and I'm speechless at the end of this game because the Bars were so much in control at half time. Erin's own have come out of the traps fighting in the second half. Robbie O'Flynn has got 2 goals that got him back, got him the shot in the arm that they needed from the talisman. And then it was a fight to the bitter end. The last 20 minutes was dramatic stuff. And you'd have to say the Bars, when they hit the front on the 64th minute, great credit to Erin's own to get the equalising score from Robbie O'Flynn.
Players just double checking the score, but it is right. 1:16 to 3:10, and both sides sharing the spoils. And when you look at the table now, Mark, the Bars have 3 points, Erin's own have 3 points, and the Rockies
have 2.
And Charleville with 0.
And you have the Rockies and the Bars next weekend, and you have
Charleville and
Erin's own. So Charleville have an opportunity if they win their game, they'll have 2 points. But I think they can only they're out because of the draw. You have 2 teams on 3 points, so it's actually going to be Blackrock, who are actually the team who are the county champions on 2 points, now have to get a win against the Bars next Sunday to qualify to stay in the competition.
3 weeks' time.
Yes, so that the big thing is the Rockies are the team now. So we were thinking that Charleville were the only team looking in tonight. This result has thrown the table right open now, and the county champions Blackrock will be playing against the Bars to stay in the competition. That is the excitement, the beauty, the round robins, and the format in the Cork County Championship this year, that anything can happen, any team gets in, anything could go out. It has everything. But back to the game, I just saw a great moment after the game there where the hero Murphy and Martin Bone had a big embrace, a big loving after the game, when there was a few words when he was taken off and stuff like that. But that's what the pride of the parish means, that, you know, it's all about the result, and the bygones be bygones, and drive on again for the next day.
Well, it means a lot, but Charleville now out of this championship for 2021, but they still have a fighting place to fight for, because relegation means a lot going into it as well.
Well, that's the big thing, Patrick, is that the bottom two teams in the club championship will be automatically into a relegation match. So, you know, all those matches still count. So if they can get a point or get a result against Erins Zone in the last match, that will more than likely be enough to keep them up or keep them out of a relegation final. So, but I mean, I suppose tonight is all about the fight back that we saw from Erins Zone. And, you know, coming from East Cork and stuff like that, I would have seen Erins Zone doing this years and years on occasions. And I didn't see it at half time, because the Bars were so much in control, 110 to 4 points up at half time, and hurling really well within themselves. But the 2 goals from Robbie O'Flynn, the Erins Zone making the decision to put their talisman back into the full forward line, he has turned the game towards them and giving them an opportunity, a fighting chance. But I thought the defence as well tightened up, and they also got a handle on Ethan Toomey as well, who was well snuffed out in the second half. And I suppose credit to the Erins Zone, 2 cornerback, Keane O'Connor and Cormac Dooley. I think they kept Jack Cahalan, and Brian Hayes scoreless in the second half. Maybe Hayes got a point.
Hayes got a point, and Jack Cahalan got 1 point, but they only got 1 point apiece in the second half. They never got a control, and that's 1 point we made at half time, that they never got a control of that second half. No, and in fairness to the Erins Zone defence were really, really good in the second half as well. James O'Flynn marshalled his team as well. So, you know, it's a fantastic result, I suppose, for Erins Zone. The Bars, I think, will be disappointed, but at the end of the day, it's in their own hands. They have 3 points on the board now. We have a massive derby game now coming up in 3 weeks' time, themselves and the Rockies. They certainly had the winning of this game this evening, but credit to Erins Zone, the fight and the spirit that they showed to get back into the game. Got a result for their community, but I think overall the second half was really, really intense. But like a couple of the decisions, I'd have to say, and you know, I'd have to say that the referee has made a couple of decisions tonight that may have, I suppose, I won't say changed the course of the game, but the 65 that was not awarded to Erins Zone was a very unusual one. I think the Bars certainly are contesting the last point as well, that it went wide, that was awarded. So maybe there is a God up there that has probably taken it off of one hand and given it in the other, and the game has ended up in a draw. So let's look at now the group table as things stand at this moment of time. Glen Rovers and Douglas winning in Group A. So Douglas now in pole position in Group A with a 19 points differential, plus differential. Now Middleton, after their massive victory over the PSHC in Group B last night, they're in pole position in Group B, but obviously tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Sarsfields have to take on Carritool tomorrow.
Yeah.
That obviously has to go on, and then we've already mentioned in Group C.
Just in that game, like it's 25, it's plus 25 to Middleton, and it's plus 16. There's a 9-point difference there at the moment, but there probably would be an expectation that SARS, you know, could have a big result tomorrow and a big score. But now Carritool will have to bounce back themselves and get back into it. But SARS will be expected to win that game, you know. But the question is whether there will be a big scoring difference or not. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there, Patrick.
Yeah, so there's a lot to play for, and obviously in round 3 with all the Premier Senior games at 2 o'clock and all the Senior A hurling games at 4 o'clock, there was a lot can happen. Now to mind the 3 Senior games tomorrow, That's Sunday afternoon, October 10th. It's going to be extraordinary.
Yeah, well, that's what's, we've seen it, I suppose, with the Premiership and relegation and down through the years and teams in the Championship, out of the Championship. That's what's going to happen. And it's the fairest thing that all the teams at the end of the day will play at the same time. That's the most important thing, is that all teams play at the same time. So there's nobody knows the results, and they'll have to, I suppose, go about and take care of the situation. Like, they ultimately, the Championship is there for them, but everybody will be fighting for something on the last day of the Championship, whether it's to get into the top 2 teams, or are you the one of the 3 teams that goes to the quarter-final with someone from the divisions, or the colleges to get through. And then there will be 2 teams, obviously, that'll be down at the bottom. Patrick will have the worst scoring difference if they finish level on points and stuff like that, or no points, and that ultimately will decide who's in the relegation final.
Okay, let's briefly go through the results of the day. The Co-op Superstores 2021 Premier Senior Hurling Championship, Blackrock 219, Charleville 18 points. Douglas had a victory over Newtown Shandrum. Douglas 23 points to Newtown Shandrum's 15, and Glen Rovers had a win earlier this afternoon, 117 to 13 points. In the Senior A Hurling Championship, Bright Rovers had a last-minute point to win the game, 1-9 to Ballymartle's 11 points. Mallow had a 4-point win over Ballyhay, 18 points to 111, and Fermoy defeated Bandon 118 to 16 points. And tomorrow, just to get your thoughts on the 3 senior games tomorrow, Mark, tomorrow afternoon, all 3 games at 2 o'clock. SARS and Carricktool down in Caherlag. That game is on tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Carricktool, they got 1 point from play in the match last weekend against Midland, so they will be very disappointed with the performance in that game, and they will be looking for a big bounce back factor. But the SARS, I saw them playing against Midland in the league final already this year, and I thought they looked like a team that was well drilled. They put up a massive score in the first round, 228. I'd be very surprised if SARS don't come out of that game, Patrick, tomorrow with a victory.
The Senior A Hurling Championship game, we have 2 games actually tomorrow in Group B. I think it is Newcestown versus Cloyne, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, Newcestown had a very good result against Father O'Neill's in the first round. They drew with them. They were probably 4 points up when the clock went into injury time. But Father O'Neill's, in fairness, got a goal and a point to get a result. Cloyne, who lost their president, Bunty Cahill, father of Morris and Philip, who selected with Cloyne, was buried during the week. He'd passed away at the match straight after the match against Killa last week. So their club is in mourning this week, and there will be a bounce come out of that, I would expect. But Newcestown are very, very dogged, and I'd probably, if they continue their form that they played last week against Father O'Neill's, I'd expect them to come out with a victory there.
And the other game, the real local derby, I suppose, left in it. Killa versus Father O'Neill's, a huge game tomorrow in Youghal.
Yeah, it's a massive game for both teams. Killa, under new management of Blandy Barry, played extremely well against Cloyne. Had gone 9 points up during the course of the game and been back to 2. So their mettle was tested. And then in the last quarter, they pushed that out again and won comfortable enough in the end. Father O'Neill's, who've been in the county final last year, probably will start as very, very strong favourites. But this is a local derby, Patrick, and anything can happen in a local derby.
Are you giving your club a chance?
I'd be sitting on the fence in this one, Patrick.
Okay, so it's a big game. 3 games tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Some excitement here on the Irish Examiner live stream. Once again, we brought you a cracker of a draw last night up in Mallow as Blarney drew with Kanturk, and another draw this evening in the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship Group C clash, as the Bars have level up with Erin's own. It was the Bars 116, Erin's own 310. My thanks to Mark Landis for joining us on analysis, to John and Raf on technicals, and to the lads back at base in the Examiner Sports Desk. My thanks to you for joining me as well. We hope you can join us next week. We'll have more live games for you, this time in the Bonsecours Premier Senior and Senior A Football Championships. We'll give you details of that on irishexaminer.com/sport, and reaction to come from here from Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well. But from all of us here from Páirc Uí Chaoimh at Leeside, it's a very good evening.